For the beginning, I need to start with some disclaimers. So first of all, we will have some vivid pictures of food during this presentation. So if you are really hungry, go outside, take something, eat it. If you have some intolerances and allergies, also consider staying in this room. Second disclaimer, I already had some discussions with people who somehow believe that I will cook here something and you will eat it. Sorry, I'm consultant. And this is not what we do. We are talking about things, not doing that. But on the other hand, I have still the t-shirt. You will see some pictures later in the presentations that yes, it's me. Yes, I am cooking. I can do that, but not today. And the last thing, I was ill. And if I will cough during this presentation, it's nothing wrong with that. It will be unpleasant for you, but unfortunately, I might not control it. So introduction, who I am, traveler, food lover, wine enthusiast, amateur cook, but also professional working 20 years in the industry. So yes, I believe that I can have something for you during this presentation. Do you know Steve Harvey? I can recommend who does not know this guy. It's a really famous TV show which started in 1970 in the US. And it's aired around the globe, I think also in Slovak Republic as well with different names. But the purpose of this show is that they are asking random people questions, and people in the TV studio needs to guess what is the most common answer, and they are getting points for that. And of course, to make it a little bit more interactive, if you will see such screen today, please cooperate with me, because until you will answer something, I will just always ask you again and again, and we will delay our lunch even more. So please help me with this. So first question is super easy, you know, from movies, from people around you. Name some actions typically seen during midlife crisis. What people are doing weird?
Motorbike.
Motorbike, it's a good one. Overeating, I never heard before, but yes. New hobbies?
Lava.
Wow, yes, that's in the list as well. And I was really asking some colleagues, some friends, so I will not make it too long. So buy motorbike. And problem with me is that I already had one for a long time. Get a tattoo, you can see that it's not finished yet, but it's already there. So next one in the list, thanks God I didn't come to that bungee jumps because I will be scared, take improvement classes. So I decided that I turned 40 this year. That's really time for midlife crisis to start it. So I decided to get better test manager because we are talking about test management, right? Or testing today. So what are the things, what you will recommend me if I will decide to get really better in this test management?
Learning.
Yeah, that's great. Anything else? A conference we are here today, of course, we believe that it will help us, or at least our employees who paid for that. So again, this one, you know, if I will ask my friends who are not into testing, they will not help me. So here I asked ChatGPT because it's, you know, quite popular these days. But actually what I realized that many of these options are not very solid. But on the other hand, some of them I still believe that it's really happening in our work, like coffee overdose. Everybody believes that we will be faster and doing things better. But perhaps ChatGPT knew that this is not my biggest passion, so that was also the answers haven't been really real. When I'm doing some interviews, within that 1 hour, you don't have time to examine what people are really into, how they will work. If there are professionals, you can ask some questions, you can have some red flags, but at the end, it's nothing what you will really see how it works. But what I'm usually looking for is passion. Because if somebody is passionate about some stuff, that they can still learn. If I will have the best expert who is not passionate anymore, yes, he has knowledge, but if he is not going to use it, how it will help me in the company? So I'm really passionate about food, drinks, cooking. You heard from the beginning, I'm really consistent. And then I decided to improve my cooking skill. This was really the thing what I said this year I need to do. So now again, what you will recommend me, how I can be better cook? Yes.
Master classes or take a
Master classes is also a good option. Yeah, also it helps that
Experience.
if you not cook, then you will not get better. So actually this is also here because one of the things is cooking more often. There is also one, ask mom, which is also good advice. So basically, when people start to think about cooking, many times they will run into some traps. One of the trap is, oh, let's Google some recipes online. That's really great source. First of all, that recipes, you don't trust them many times if you know what they are about. The second thing is the problem with recipes is that there are a lot of things if you are not experienced, you don't know how to apply it in real life. For example, add pinch of salt. How much is it? And specifically, if we are talking somebody from IT industry, these are people who many times want to be precise, exactly know what to do, because otherwise, without rules, they don't know how to proceed. And there is many times no room for creativity. Or like my favorite one, cook until done. Like such great advice. So for me, when I started to think about it, I thought I need to have a different approach. And talking, for example, that pinch of salt, the next topic is there are so many salts in the world. And of course, some of them are about marketing, that Himalaya salt, which they will sell you 20 times or 50 times more expensive than normal salt, but at the end it's the same salt. It's just different color, and they are trying to sell you with marketing that this will improve your health. But how much of that salt do you need to eat to see that 0.0000% of additional minerals in it? So are you going to eat 10,000 kilograms of salt during 1 week? No. So it's really marketing. And there are other things you need to consider when you are cooking, that it will bring the salty taste into your food, but actually it's not only salt. So it's adding additional flavors, and it's getting even better and interesting flavor in the food. So I decided to buy some books. And I was doing some research. I was asking chefs and really a few best chefs in Slovak, Czech Republic, also abroad. And they have been recommending some additional books. I will not spend too much time because we are delayed. We can skip that. And anybody who is interested, we will have enough time later today to discuss. I can help you with shortcut. You don't need to do research by yourself. One book I want to talk about is this one, Modernist Cuisine. It's the book which has 27 kilograms. So if I'm telling somebody about that book, then everybody's like, why it's so expensive? Then I tell them that, okay, there is something interesting behind it. But more important for this room is, it was written by senior manager from Microsoft. So friend from IT, and really delivering one of the best books around cooking nowadays on the market. The other option is that I can talk to people who are really good in the industry. And I was talking to chefs, best chefs in Slovak Republic, in Czech Republic. I was even traveling to Paris to meet Pavel Sekerka, who was chef there in Michelin star restaurant, The Kitchen Gallery. And thanks God that he moved back to Slovakia to run some workshops, because then visiting him more often, I don't need to spend so much time and money to travel to Paris. And this is something I want to talk about today, because the workshops are usually done easily. You meet some farmers to understand where your ingredients are coming from. Then you are developing tasting menu. You will together in smaller group create. Then you will eat it. So at the end, you are also satisfied. And this experience I really want to talk about today. So I don't have next slide, that blue one, but still I will ask you the question. Actually I have it. Why do you believe that it's relevant for this group?
Process.
Well, my recommendation is try something what you know already how it should develop. The simple answer is what I'm telling everybody. And when I was preparing this presentation, I just said, I will talk about food in testing conference. People look at me like, are you serious? And then I say, the argument is pretty simple. Testing and cooking is exactly the same. And then I'm like, how come? And I said, like, look, I said, consultants are not good at doing something by themselves, but they are good in finding some patterns. And this is something where I came across these cooking workshops, and then I realized that what we are doing in that workshop, it's exactly the same what I'm doing on the project. So we need to have shared objectives. Everybody is cooking the same menu. We need to have top quality resources, because if you don't have the right resources, the result will not be good. You need to have strategic plans. You need to apply right techniques. And of course, like in the life, nothing is perfect. So you need to also run into some problems, and then you need to apply some problem-solving techniques. Then you want to do some plating at the end in the kitchen, so to really show what are the results of your effort the full day in the kitchen. And then, of course, there are some basic rules like safety, hygiene, and this is exactly what we are doing. And specifically, my background is working in banking industry, and you know that there is enough regulation. You can't share the client data just like in startups. And of course, at the end, you want to do some retrospective. You want to also learn, and you want to proceed in your career and in your future. So basically, does it sound that it makes sense? So let's dig a little bit deeper into that topics one by one. Share objectives. What we are doing in that workshop is that you define some tasting menu, and people together have brainstorming, writing on the wall, and there are some basic rules that you want to have a menu which is somehow consistent. People will like it. People will not feel overeaten at the end. It needs to be a bit lighter. You want to apply different techniques, different textures, for example, in that food, flavors. At the end, it needs to look good. So all these things together, the team is doing together. And that's really sharing the same objectives. The same is happening in Michelin star restaurants, really. So they are looking what they have available for the day, what ingredients, what resources, and they are developing the menu for the day. And once everybody understands how it works, the same, then they can deliver all that parts of that food. But what is the difference between the project? So if we are talking about the project and testing, in the beginning, usually you are working on one document with different names in different companies. Everybody is passionate about to talk about that and comment on it and find some mistakes and inconsistencies. But once this is signed off, nobody will open it ever again. Test concept, test strategy, test plan, however you will name it. But this is exactly the document where you write what you are going to do, what is in your scope, what is out of your scope. You are defining what techniques you will apply, what environments you are using, what data, what is your timeline, what are your dependencies, what are your resources, and at the end you need to align it with stakeholders. So like in the kitchen, you need to consider different requirements from different people, maybe allergies, intolerances. The same is with different needs from different stakeholders, different priorities. So for me, this is again something which is super simple. When we are talking about ingredients, just look at that tomatoes. There are different sizes, different colors, different types of tomatoes. But I can assure you that all of them are really perfectly fine and in that best stage ever. And if you are trying to create nice gazpacho out of them, of course, with nice resources which are full of flavor, taste, then at the end, you can have something really tasty. If you will try to use some moldy, rotten tomatoes, perhaps the result might not be so great. But the same is also when we are talking about the project. With right resources, you can proceed. Next topic is available resources. Because I can dream about specialists on the project I need and who will help me to deliver something better and better. But if I don't have that specialist, how this will help me? If I want to cook and I don't have that ingredients in my kitchen, I can send somebody to the shop to buy it. But unfortunately, it happened to me once. First time they introduced that during public holidays, all shops are closed, and I was that day cooking and Well, I needed to improvise because I didn't have resources I needed. So this is quite important, and then it comes to flexibility, because sometimes you can exchange some ingredients, sometimes not, and you need to know where it's applicable, where it's not. When it comes to project, you also will miss some ingredients or some people, some maybe software licenses, which will help you. But then flexibility here means that you can upskill your people. You can invest into them. You can find other solutions how you can overcome these problems. And this is, again, completely in line with what we are talking about kitchen. The same is happening on the project. But many times we can see that people, and specifically the ones, and really on internet you can find so many discussions where you will see that somebody is saying, oh, if you don't have that, you can do that. Just imagine you don't have mascarpone, you are trying to prepare tiramisu. How it will work if you will add yogurt? It's white, same consistency, it will be the same. Of course not. So you really need to focus on that where you can do that, where not. And this is also about being master, where you understand how it can do. Next one is origin. I will not talk too much about food because everybody knows that you are what you are eating. So taking care of the resources, that you have the happy animals, otherwise the meat is not great. The same is about eggs, which is quite a big discussion nowadays, that if the eggs are coming from the right place. And the same is on the project, that it's always good to know where your people are coming from. Because sometimes knowing the background of the people will help you to understand that they can bring additional complexity to your team, but sometimes it's also helping you with different talent, different approach, different mind. So just always play with the people you have and focus on them, because it's really important to have the right people. And when we are talking about resources, it's not only about people on the project, but also about software licenses, all that IT background. You need to have the right computers. But the same is in the kitchen. So if you have a blunt knife, it will be really painful to work with that, but sharpening that knife will take you many times 5 minutes, and the result and your effectiveness will grow significantly. So many times you can hear on the project that there are so many excuses why something is not possible, that there are no priorities right now for that. Just make sure if there are simple things like this, just invest the time into increasing your effectiveness. So imagine now you have resources, you have the goal. So now we are coming to the planning. If we will start talking about the menu. You have 5-course menu, and imagine that there is one soup. How we will cook the soup? Just you are coming to the kitchen and saying like, I am now cooking the soup. Maybe it sounds a stupid question, but usually when it comes to soup, you need some broth as a basis for that. So you need to start cooking that broth. You might need some vegetables, and all these things, suddenly you will realize that the menu, that few courses, you need to just decouple into smaller tasks and smaller things what you will just execute. And then at the end, during the plating, all these parts will come together. And this is the time when the food is born. But you can't do it without proper preparation. So when we are talking about project, of course you are working with some planning, you are detailing the tasks, you are making sure that everything is in the backlog. So it's really important. And then you need to also add timeline into that, because it's great that we will talk about we are preparing some food for dinner, but if guests are coming and they will be there at 6 o'clock, we can't finish our dinner at 9 because they will be annoyed by that and they will be hungry and they will try to eat you perhaps. So it's really important that the timeline is clear for everybody, that once you have the task, then you also understand that how much time you need for that different task, because working on something might take longer and something you can delay for later because it's just ice cream for dessert. So you have another 1 hour until people are eating. So then you have 1 hour for freezing it. And talking about plan, we should not skip critical path. Because this is from one workshop where we have been hunting one day, and next day we have been cooking with a deer. So if we will be in the kitchen and we will realize that, oh, we forgot the deer, then it will be too late. But if we are talking about critical path in the kitchen, just imagine that you have one oven and you want to bake some cake, you want to roast some meat, and you want to perhaps roast some bones for broth as well. So you need to also understand that what you need to do in which sequence and what you can do then later in parallel, because as you have one oven, you need to utilize it in the sequence you need. And that's the same on the projects. You have seen Gantt charts, you have seen always, or you have heard always discussions about critical path, that something can be done differently. So I will not spend too much time on that, but just make sure always when you are planning that you have all these things in the mind. Because without that, you can't proceed. And also, if you look at this nice kitchen, which is full of peace and it's nice, so this is what you don't want to have on the project, because once your planning is finished, you want to really have kickoff, that you will mobilize the team, that everybody is full of energy, starting with that task, and then you will have all these things like that TV shows with Gordon Ramsay, you know that there is no peace in that kitchen, trust me. Unfortunately, I was not working with him, so I will perhaps not be still alive. So next one is important delegation. So once you are cooking in that kitchen, and actually this is the same kitchen, maybe half an hour later, you see that the chef, Paolo, is not doing everything alone, because even if we are talking about big restaurants with big chefs, they have always team around. And if you are delegating stuff, you always need to find right resources with right skills. Because if you will try to delegate topics to somebody who have never done it before, of course, you can do it with some training. But on the other hand, you need to be careful about overwhelming people with tasks they can't achieve, because it will definitely not motivate them. But if you are test manager, for example, this is like chef. You delegate things, but you still need to have the oversight that everything is on track, everything is working fine. Because if you will just trust people that, oh, I told them that they will do it, that will be disaster, and perhaps you have seen it on the projects as well. And last thing about delegation, and this, just making sure that you always have something in mind what is running in parallel. Have you heard about somebody who placed something in the oven and only smoke reminded them that, yes, the oven is still on? Yes, and opposite way around, it can happen that oven is not on, and then you are waiting that why it's still not done. So these are the same problem with different options, but that delegation is quite important. So if people already started to work on that, then you have a question about techniques. There are no right or wrong techniques. Now, not talking about health, just talking about technique. What is better, frying or cooking? Who is for frying? Who is for frying? One. And who is for cooking? Oh, good luck with Wiener Schnitzel then. And that's, or pancakes, even better. Try to boil them. The thing is that, as I said, techniques are always, they need to fit for purpose. So if you have wrong techniques, or if you have wrongly applied techniques, it can lead to disaster. But again, it's about considering what are the options, what are the project needs, what people I have, what skills I have in the team, what other tools I have available, because this will help you to select the right techniques for your project. Next topic is scalability, because the right technique might be also right technique, but it's different when you are cooking for 3 members of family and 100 people, or 300 people you will see the catering today. That's also a difference when you need to consider how many things, what is the pace you need to do. So if you need to execute 10,000 test cases within 2 weeks, Perhaps manual testers are not right option because you will need army of them. And with army of testers, you will need army of test managers and people who are coordinating them, and it will be again complicated. Next thing, when we are talking about techniques, is that we need to follow the rules. And many times people are believing that, oh, I have seen that, I know what to do, I don't need to think about the details. But the problem with techniques is that once you understand that, it really brings you freedom, that you don't need to follow every step blindly because you know what is the purpose of that, and then you can do it. Cooking eggs. Simple example. Who tried or who is always trying to Google how long they need to cook eggs? Yeah, many people. And cooking eggs is super simple because you need to know that between 57 degrees and 70 degrees, the magic is happening in the egg. So it depends on what type of egg you are trying to prepare. For example, egg Benedict, you need 62 degrees. Because that means that the egg white is getting solid a bit. It's still creamy, but it's getting solid. And the egg yolk is completely running, and then you can cut it and you see the pictures that over the sandwich, how it goes and so on. But again, it's not magic, it's just science. And if you are talking about this, you can play with either temperature, or with eggs, usually you play with the time, because if you add the egg into boiling water, more time it's there, the temperature will raise inside, and then you have this result. So once you will understand how this works, you don't need to Google it again, because sometimes you will understand that, okay, this is the technique and I can play with really the temperature of the water. Thermometer costs you €5, and then you are there. Another thing about techniques is consistency. These nice cubes here looks good. But also when you are cooking, children usually start with potatoes. So they cut it into pieces. Some of them are so small, some of them are bigger, some of them are underdone, some of them are overdone at the end. And if you are consistent also on the project, like having the daily stand-up call the same time every day, people don't need to think about that because everything will run smoother. And again, it's no magic behind it. It's just about like making it easier for people just to succeed. So consistency is helping you also on the project. And now we are, my favorite topic, problem solving, and starting with transparency. Transparency is something important for me every day, and I'm always telling people, don't lie, don't hide, be transparent. And if people are not transparent, how you can solve the problems? Because you don't know the problem, you don't know the size of the problem, you can't find solution if you don't know nothing about that. So therefore, transparency is always the starting point. Once you are transparent, you can really then later in next step calm down and analyze. Calming down sounds easier to say than really to act in reality, because if you have something burning in the kitchen, or you have project manager shouting at you that we are doing go live even and why this is not working in production and so on, usually saying like calm down, give us some time is not the right thing. But on the other hand, without that, you can't analyze the problem. And the analysis is important here, that you need to think about the problem, you need to try to find solutions. And here, one more thing, you are usually not alone. Also involve other people around. People above you, because they have more experience and they know what is important, and they might find other solution and maybe some mitigations. People around you, and also people who are working for you in the teams, because this is important, that people who are in that level of details, many times they might know the right solution. So really, when we are talking about problem solving, don't forget to involve people. And of course, you need to also adjust your approach. So as many times you have great plans, but further in the future you are planning, the more surprises you can run into. And this is important here, that you need to always be ready to adjust your approach, always think about how things are running, that what can be the other option, if situation is changing, how we can proceed. And now we are coming to the end slowly, which is now finally the great food. So this is what I said before, like you prepare all the pieces of that meal, and once you start to plate it, and here this is really the soup, then you suddenly see that the great food is born if you combine all these topics together. And if you will create the experience, that people will remember it. And you can tell me that how many times you came to some restaurant, you ate food because you have been hungry, and at the end you haven't been happy with the results, and you forgot about that restaurant because it was nothing what you want to remember. Success celebrations are quite important for the team, because if you will, together with the team, celebrate what you did and what you delivered, usually this is helping you to build the team spirit. The problem with success celebration is on the projects that you are running from one release to another, many times releases in parallel, so nobody has time to stop and say, okay, we did a great job. But also it's important that many times, and I think that this was the question to Corina in the morning, that what you are doing, that people in the company are aware of your effort. Because many times people are so in the detail of their daily work, they are forgetting for advertisement. So like in the kitchen, you do it through plating, that you are trying to develop nice food. The same is that you need to do that also in the office, just to make sure that everybody around understands what you have been doing half a year during that release. And of course, it's really helping you to create the team spirit, that people are proud what they delivered together. So I don't need to talk about that too much because you already know that. Next thing is basic standards. If we are talking about cooking, hygiene and safety is something what people are usually complaining about. Why it's so complicated? Why I need to do this? Why I need to do that? I nearly died in India once because I was eating wrong food, and I ended up in hospital, and I can tell you that it was not what you want to do. On the other hand, if you are talking about hygiene and safety, if you are following some rules, it's really helping you to create such safe environment that you don't need to question, if I will go here for lunch today, would I die tomorrow or not? Because we believe that there are following some safety rules, so then it's also helping us to feel safe, and we don't need to question it. And what is important, it's continuous journey. Because it's great to do some training that I'm not allowed to send some customer data outside of the bank. But if I will not follow the rules daily, every single day, the bank will be fined, I will be fired, there will be so many consequences of that. So it's not that I will do one-time training, but I need to make sure that I'm every single day doing the same things and right things. But also this habit is helping you then that it's suddenly after some time not important for you because you just understand this is how we do it, and that's the result. And the last part in this section is risk management, because when you are doing some decisions on the project, it's the same like in the kitchen. You want to understand that what risk you are taking, because life is not perfect. Sometimes you will not be able to follow all the rules, but it's always good for you to understand that what are the risks you are taking and what are the limitations. And completely last section is here about retrospective, which is here this sentence, reaching a finish line is just a beginning. It's from one advertisement. I was acting it 20 years ago, so it was really, really long time. And it was for United Nations Refugee Agency. And when it comes to cooking, once you have people dining and everybody is happy and enjoying the meals, it's not the finish line, because you need to cook tomorrow as well. You need to eat 3 times a day. People have different opinions on that, but in general, 3 times a day. The same is on the project. If you will finish one release, do you have now time until end of the life saying like, now I did it, it's perfect? No. Already next Monday, somebody is standing at your desk saying like, oh, next release is started, you need to hurry up. And while cooking, it's always important that you always think how you can improve it, how you can do it next time better. During our workshops, usually after the dinner, people are thinking about what we can do better next time. And as we have already some ingredients left, we can experiment and try it immediately. Sometimes it's better, sometimes we will say first version was better, but without trying that, you will never find out, and you will never grow, and you will never find other options. And why this is important also for you is, as I said before, this is not your last project, this is not your last employer, this is not last release, last testing day. Always there is something new. And from what you did until now, you can always learn, you can always already grab some experience and being ready for the future. Being ready to really think about how and what you can do in the future differently. And the success from the past, it's always easy for you then to take energy from that and motivation. So this is the nearly last page here. Now I'm coming back to that 8 sections we have been talking about in the beginning. After this presentation, I hope that it makes sense for you. I hope that in the beginning you will say no, that you still don't understand. And already when I asked this question before, you said, yes, it's clear for me that there is some parallel between testing and cooking. But if you have some questions, you can always reach out to me. You can contact me on LinkedIn. And I created 2 more slides because I didn't know that we will have Slido questions. So I had 1 slide for questions with, again, some food. And the last one, which is here that we will have lunch break. And I believe that it will be as delicious as in this picture. So I thought it will be at the end, but if we have the Slido questions, we need to switch to Slido. So, but still think about this meal and compare it in a few minutes.
Big thank you. Thank you, Branislav, for taking us for quite a journey and making us think out of the box. What was the best speaker at Sanai? Wow. There we have our rating. Is there anyone who would like to ask a question and ask directly to Branislav? At the moment, we have something to say as well, that in the packages they can find a small detail.
Thanks for reminder. In your package received today, there is also some booklet, and there is a small bag. And the bag, just to make it difficult for you, it's seeds of basil. So you can just blend it in the spring. You can play with that. And there is also a recipe involved from this Michelin star chef, also with some serving suggestion. We made it easy for you just to follow the rules, see how it should look like. And I will be happy if you will share with me the pictures later, how you manage it next year.
Thank you.